Welcome to a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave. Crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe. Algorithms new dawn to take. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands. Revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan. All together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan. In this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Welcome, as my old ass sits down. Oh, the back starts hurting. The knees start going out. To Crypto Wednesday, episode 24 of Legacy News. This is the Legacy Rights presentation of the news that matters. And right now, it's crypto that matters and becoming your own bank. I am the legacy of Jennifer and Kaiser. I'm Zachary Kaiser. Welcome in, Andrew Joseph.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Drinking my coffee. How about you?
Just hanging out, you know.
Yeah, it's 5 p.m. in the evening as this airs, and I'm drinking coffee.
Right.
It's morning
Well,
somewhere.
it's Crypto Wednesday. So I figured it's not officially sponsored or anything like that. But we pick up from hijacking Bitcoin and go back in a little bit of time and watch some video from.
That sounds like a plan, man. What's up with the background
Rothbard's,
there, man?
Well, that's Ayn Rand, obviously. Anarcho-capitalism. Here we go.
You
objectivist
piece of shit.
Hey, we're on YouTube. You can't say that kind of thing. But you can say it on X.
I can't say it on X. X is a free speech platform.
Yeah, free speech. Okay, we'll call that.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're gonna go back in time a little bit. This video is about 5 years old. It's not terribly, you don't have to worry about it being out of date because it's just a concept material that you gotta kind of pick up on. And it's from a channel called Rothbard's Disciple. And in this channel, he goes over a bunch of different crypto stuff. And I haven't seen him post in a little while, but I still like to look at his stuff from time to time. And he's just going to go over just how Bitcoin, blockchain stuff works. So
who is Rothbard's Disciple?
I don't know him personally. I mean, I just was a big fan of his channel.
I just mean in general. Who would be Rothbard's disciple in today's day and age? If Rothbard was effectively the protege of Mises, which he pretty much was supposedly Hayek, but you know where that goes. Socialist. But Excuse me. Excuse, because you're tight to myself. Um, who would be the protege of Murray Rothbard in today's standard of Austrian
Well,
economics and ANCAP philosophy, and you know,
it all depends on who you're a mark for. I mean, some people say it would Hamza and Hampa. Some people say it would Walter Block. It just depends.
mm, I'm a disciple of Samuel Edward Konkin the third. DMs for sec.
Thomas
Algorithm in the
bio.
bio, buddy. Yeah.
But let's go ahead and jump on into it, shall we?
Let's jump on it.
Everybody, it's Rothbard's Disciple here once again with another video talking about Bitcoin. Today we're going to be talking about transaction ordering in Bitcoin and why it's sort of a big deal. I've wanted to make a video on this for a very long time, but unfortunately there's just not that great of information surrounding this subject. So because of that, I'm sure there will be mistakes here, but I know there have been other videos released on transaction ordering that where the creator of the video has less of an understanding of this topic than I do. But I just want to give my 2 cents on it. Like I said, there's not that much information regarding this, which is sort of weird since it was the main reason for the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV split, as well as DSV or whatever. So you would have figured there'd be more information on it, but there just isn't. So I'm just going to tell you guys what I think about transaction ordering and the issues that I see with um, each form of transaction ordering. And I also will tell you that I don't really necessarily have a preference or my preference isn't really that great. I prefer the natural transaction ordering that Daniel Connolly has suggested, but I'm honestly not sure. So for transaction ordering, as far as it goes, there's three main types of transaction ordering. There's the topological transaction ordering, which is Bitcoin's original transaction ordering, where it puts parents before children, which basically just says that if one transaction within a block, like let's say I have an address and I spend some coins and send them somewhere, and then what if those coins are sent somewhere else before a new block is found? The first transaction is the parent, and the transactions that are dependent upon the first transaction are the children. And so with topological transaction ordering, it says the parents go first and then it's the children. Okay, and so this could maybe have some use cases for ensuring that there's no double spends because you get to see all the parents first, and then all the children have to be dependent upon one of those parents, or whatever. But next one is canonical transaction ordering, or CTOR. This is Bitcoin Cash's new transaction ordering format. It's basically just alphanumeric or ABC order. So it basically just whenever you get a transaction, you already know the order it goes in the block in because it's already predetermined. The order is always predetermined. You don't know which transactions there are um, that are going to be in the block, but given any set of transactions, each miner will have the exact same order. Then the final ordering format type is the natural transaction ordering that Daniel Connolly has been suggesting. And this the natural transaction order is just no order requirements. You just order transactions in the way that they come to you. So if a miner received transaction A first, that would be the first transaction in their block. If it received transaction, C next, then it would go AC, whatever, whatever. It's just the order that they're received. And one way you can think about this that a lot of the developers have been talking about recently, um, if you want to try and visualize what ordering means, it's like, let's assume you throw down a bunch of cards on the ground. Transaction ordering is how you organize the playing cards for pickup. So with topological transaction ordering, there's no real way to I guess put topological transaction ordering this into this because there's no parent and children playing cards. But if you're doing something like canonical transaction ordering, you would pick up the cards and put them back in order. Okay, so you would order them by suit and by number or whatever. And then with the natural transaction ordering that Daniel Connolly has been talking about, You would just pick up the cards whatever way is fastest for you. Okay. And so obviously, as you can see, like if you're not doing any ordering, the picking up of the cards is pretty simple to do. And organizing those cards takes time. But the whole point of organizing the cards is so that when you find a block, because you would be picking up cards until you found a block. If you were a miner, those cards would just be transactions, but you're picking up these transactions till you find a block, and then you have to tell the other miners what block you have. Well, if everyone is picking up the cards in a specified order, according to CTOR, then once you find a block and you show everybody your hand, they're already basically going to know the order of your transactions because they've all got the same transactions. There's going to be a couple cards different because like the last second or couple of seconds, each miner is going to have different transactions that they've processed. So there's a little bit of a difference in CTOR, but if you're doing it just randomly picking up cards when you send those cards to somebody else, if you're picking them up, basically not necessarily randomly, because if you're doing it in the natural transaction order, you pick up the cards at the speed that they are thrown down on the floor. So your transaction order is going to be similar to the other miners, but it's not going to be basically the exact same. Okay, so um, one of the things here, an additional point beyond just that CTOR is better for propagation and NTOR is better for just putting as many transactions in a block as you can, is that without the natural order of transactions, um, there's also the possibility that certain apps are negatively affected. Now, none of these apps exist. One of the apps that might be negatively affected, and this is the reason why ordering's been sort of important to me, and I'm more on the natural transaction ordering side, is that the one type of app that could be negatively affected is the copyleft hash token apps that I just released a video on. Those ones, the order can be important because it could determine who is the actual creator of certain digital content, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about why did Bitcoin Cash choose CTOR. So again, block propagation with the unknown transaction order can be very problematic, and I believe the main reason for this, and again, there's no real um, information out there detailing the specific problems here, so I just had to sort of think about it on my own and come up with this on my own. But if you're looking at a Merkle tree, and again, all the transactions in Bitcoin, they're all put into a Merkle tree. Um, the way the Merkle tree works is you hash the transactions and then take the hashes of the transactions and hash those together in pairs of two until you're left with one final root. And if you change any of the transactions, it changes the entire tree. Okay, so if you look at it, this Merkle tree that we have here, it's got transactions A through P. So the issue here is that if you change transaction A, then the hash of A changes, which changes the hash of A and B, which changes the hash of A, B, C, D, the hash of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the final root hash. Okay, so any one of these transactions on the bottom, if they are changed, it changes all of the hashes above them. Okay, and so then the issue that you run into um, is if you're doing a just a natural transaction order. Eh, the problem is that miners are going to receive each transaction at a similar speed, but since miners are located and their nodes are located at different spots in the world, the transactions they're going to be different. The order is going to be different, even though the transactions are going to be in similar spots. So instead of having hash A first, or you might have hash B first, and one miner will have hash A first, and then another miner might have hash B first, and then one miner might have hash O as the final hash in their Merkle tree, and then another miner will have hash P. There's nothing really that you can do to stop this. Throughout the entirety of the block's creation, the transactions are going to be ordered a bit differently, and so by changing the order of the transactions, um, the entire Merkle tree is basically going to be different. None of this is going to be even close to the same for miners using a natural transaction order. Okay, and so the whole point about using CTOR when the order is alphanumeric is since you already know the order that the other miner is going to get their transactions in. The only differences in the Merkle tree are when you add new transactions into the tree. Okay, so or the in the new transactions that are going to be added and that are going to be different for miners, it's only the like the last second of transaction. So when that miner finds a block and publish or broadcasts their block to the network, the other miners are still working on their own block and adding transactions to it. So there's going to be a slight difference of like, you know, a couple seconds worth of transactions between the miner who found the block and then the miners who are still looking for the new block, and then they get sent this block by the other miner and now they have to verify it. So um, if it's only the last few seconds that are different, um, the reason why this helps is that instead of having all the transactions different and then the whole Merkle tree being changed, you only have a couple differences between the Merkle tree of the block that was sent to you and your own Merkle tree. So it should be less computation and it should be easier for the miner. Um, should be easier for the miner to validate the block. And that's what they basically seem to say, is that it's for block propagation that CTOR is better, especially if you're using something like graphene. And just so you guys know, the way graphene works is it uses invertible Bloom lookup tables and Bloom filters. And so it basically checks to see which transactions are different between the set of transactions in the block that was given to you and the set of transactions in the block that the miner already has. And so this all seems to mesh up together. Like I said, I had to just think this through on my own. But yeah, so basically with CTOR, the propagation of blocks becomes vastly less computationally intensive, and that's really the reason for using it. But if you look at some of the critiques of CTOR, there are some critiques that say having a predefined order doesn't necessarily stop you from having to recalculate the entire Merkle tree, and the reason for this could be something very simple. Like if you look at the Merkle tree we have below, if you just add one transaction into it, like let's say your transactions are off by one, your one transaction is going to get put in there in order, and this can throw off each and every single one of the leaves in the Merkle tree. Now, this sort of depends on how you create the Merkle tree, and technically speaking, I think they're moving to using something called a Merklix tree. It's like Merkle tree, but ends with IX instead of just Merkle. So a Merklix tree is what I think Bitcoin Cash is moving towards, and I think this sort of mitigates that problem. But I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, they don't really talk about ordering all that much, but having the predefined order may not necessarily save you so much computation as far as Merkle tree recalculations when blocks are propagated. However, the thing that has to be noted is that when Bitcoin SV did that massive block of a huge number of transactions, um, and it got reorged. It seems like whatever Bitcoin SV is using right now, and it's using TTOR, obviously, but obviously their software is not ready for that. And this the problem seems to be the Merkle tree. But again, I can't tell you that absolutely for sure. But that's the most computationally intensive part of propagation. Okay, and so the other critique of CTOR is that changing transaction order affects copyleft hash token applications. And the reason why it does this is that if I am the creator of some sort of content, some digital content, like let's just use the board game example that I've always used. I've always said I need artwork, I need graphic artists to help create some of the artwork for my board game. And if I have this contract out there that says, hey, look, I need this and this done, and whoever does it, like you're the one who will, you'll become owner or part owner of the project and of the board game. But if there's no transaction order, the problem that can arise is that let's say somebody uses some website and they try to put in some they create some digital content, some digital artwork for my board game, and then they apply to have that to be used as my board game. Well, if there's no transaction order, or if the transaction order of the blocks is alphanumeric, I can't tell by looking at the blockchain if their transaction was the first to reach me. And why this is important is if they're using some sort of website to give their content to me, I guess, if this content simply gets copied by anybody and that that person who copies the content sends their transaction out to the blockchain, um, their transaction will be in the blockchain as well, and it will be the exact same content. And how do I know, as the creator of the board game, which transaction was the first actually to be broadcast? And how do I know who is the actual creator of this content? Okay, I honestly don't have an answer to that. You could technically speaking have miners go in and look at their internal data to figure this out, but it'd be much easier to just look at a blockchain and say, hey, this transaction was first. So it was the first one created. That's really simple to do, but with CTOR, this doesn't seem to be possible. Okay, and so again, the problem here is with any centralized site offering copyleft features, it can easily be sybiled, and even if the site itself is not um, sybiled, all a person has to do is look at the content that someone put up, copy that content exactly, and then put up their own transaction. Um, and and there's nothing anybody can do, even using off-site wallet software, because somebody could say, oh, if you're using a centralized site and you're using their wallet feature, even if you have natural transaction ordering, they can just copy your transaction and broadcast it first. Well, with natural transaction ordering, if someone's copying your transaction data for copyleft applications like this, where you're trying to get work completed for somebody, if somebody's copying your stuff and then broadcasting it before they broadcast your transaction, you can just use off-site wallet software and then broadcast your transaction before you send it to the site, and that way you know for a fact that your transaction hits the network first. Okay, and so using natural transaction order seems to be best for copyleft transaction applications. That being said, I still don't have an answer for which ordering is best. CTOR seems to scale better, but this is somewhat debatable. And then even assuming though for CTOR, like let's say I want copyleft apps, you could potentially add transaction timestamps to the Bitcoin transactions, because they don't include them as of now. This starts getting sort of really technical. I'm not sure necessarily what the best method would be for this. There might honestly be an easy method for CTOR to, sort of tell you which transactions were first. I just don't know. And in the white papers I read for CTOR, it says there hasn't yet been an application designed where in the transaction order matters, which is true, because the Bitcoin SV devs were like, no matter what I try and do to persuade them, they won't build these applications, which is really fucking weird, because if they build these applications should only be able to work on Bitcoin SV rather than Bitcoin Cash, and this would be a big, you know, selling point for them. Hey, we're the only ones who can do these copyleft apps, but they just don't do it. So I don't know. But the final point, either method should be capable of scaling, and even if you wanted copyleft apps on CTOR, you probably could do it. You just have to make some changes to the way Bitcoin transactions are made. However, those changes could, cause slight increases in prices of transactions for users who don't want to use these or don't want to use copyleft transaction apps. So it might be better to have natural transaction ordering, even though CTOR could potentially still accommodate these apps. But again, there's very little information regarding these topics. The devs don't really like to talk about it all that much. And when they do, they talk in a real academic sense, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I don't know. It always irritates me that they don't try to talk about this in a way that your average person can understand, because it's not really that complicated of a topic. Obviously, the actual coding and how you implement the coding, that's sort of complicated, and that's for the developers only. But to just talk about the features and what it allows you to do, that's not that terribly complicated. But anyways, I hope this helped to explain transaction ordering for you. Like I said, I have no idea which transaction ordering is best. But I do slightly prefer the natural transaction ordering. Anyways, there will be more videos coming out soon. Hope you enjoyed this one.
You gonna join me? Oh no, it's a swarm cam.
Explain
No, well, I mean,
explain what he's talking about for the lame tards on this.
the
What is he
layman's.
referring to? Yeah, the lamest.
Well, he's just giving context about the different cycles of ordering for transactions, and why it's important to have these different forks and branches and interpretations, so that they can test them out in the wild, in order to know which one's most efficient and effective for what particular chain that you're looking at to scale on for whatever project. So like
now, I'm gonna keep you up there, because this is your presentation right here. So, define what it means to scale for those that are not really enmeshed into this industry, into this market that is crypto. And then what exactly is CTOR precisely, and what could it do for in this case Bitcoin SV? And yeah, but as far as like Bitcoin Cash or any other source of uh,
Okay,
medium
say
of
that you
exchange.
say that you're scale. Let's define scaling. Say that you're trying to get a certain number of like okay. Say you're trying to get a certain number of widgets from point A to point B, and you're worried that you're not going to be able to process them fast enough. The Bitcoin network is designed to do them in order and double check, triple check, uh, just until the end of time, as long as the network's up. Um, Confirm that the transactions were in fact placed. There was people didn't spend the same amount of money or process the same amount of transactions twice in a row. And when you're trying to scale something on a global level, like we're doing with Bitcoin, it's extremely expensive and difficult because
Mhm.
you have to spend a lot of time and electricity and effort to process those transactions and continuously grow the network, because it gets harder and harder as time goes on. So when you're processing those transactions, it's a lot easier in a centralized network like American Express or uh, like other credit cards, because it's an enclosed environment with just a few servers. These are servers all across the world. With it just depends on where you're at. Some of them have more stable internet connections than others, and so you
Mhm.
have to, and that's the part of the security network for the crypto space, is that there's no way to guarantee that your transaction that you're confirming hasn't already been confirmed by somebody else, but it is confirmed that it has actually happened. And so with those amount of servers, those amount of miners, it just makes it there's a lot, you need a lot more muscle to process those transactions consistently.
So to be consistent, we need to have a big block mentality then.
Yeah, we'll need more space for the transactions, and we need to slowly scale those transactions as it's needed. Now, Bitcoin Cash, during the Civil War, before Bitcoin, Satoshi's vision came around. Uh, I think it was 32 megabytes was like the placeholder, but since then it's become flexible, so it can go anywhere from uh, just the regular 1 megabyte. This depends on how many transactions are on the chain, up to 32. I think it was. It's been a long time since I've looked and seen the amount. Now, Bitcoin's vision just defaulted 128 megabits.
That ain't
So
good.
that's, well, I'm
Or
talking
is it?
about the size of the transaction block, and
Oh,
this
the
is the difference
size of the
between megabit
transaction.
and
So,
byte. Yeah.
so would that be good then? That it, yeah.
Well, it would be good in theory,
Explain that
but
default.
nobody uses Satoshi's vision because of the way it was mismanaged by the people that were marketing it. They were going off and suing exchanges because they thought they could get money out of them, and so people would delist their Satoshi's vision,
Mm.
and so that's why they've had such a hard time. That's just one particular example of how it's kind of capitulated. I mean, it's still effective, but it doesn't even have the same kind of loyalty as Bitcoin Cash node does.
And that's the benefit of the crypto community, is it kind of shows that true correspondence to the natural cycle of
Systems.
reality. I mean,
Yeah.
you have your own communities, you have your own loyalty base. So, like, if we are to utilize the crypto communities as a basis of divorcing ourselves from the central supply of monetary policy and of central control of money supply and fiat, um, it kind of makes you sit back and wonder, is there really a clear cut winner when it comes to which cryptocurrency is going to rule the day, when in effect it's whatever you perceive has the more value to you. So it could be Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, it could be Bit, Bitcoin Cash Node, it could be Bitcoin Core, it could be Monero, it could be Zcash, it could be all sorts of these different cryptos out there on the marketplace. So, for the most part, it's just figuring out the best way and how to use it and how to make it user friendly. Like you said, like just like American Express or any type of credit card that's out there now, um, how do we get it to where the normie is willing to embrace this new technology for a medium of exchange?
Yeah. It's not done overnight. It takes a lot of time, a lot of marketing, a lot of personal attempts to try to convince people who obviously have no interest in it unless they think they're going to make money off of it, and it's trying to convert people from that mentality to make money to this is for the greater good of a society is a little bit of a harder sell. So
Read white papers on all these developments, really, because you can learn a little bit more on what
it,
it's supposed to be about and what it really is, what the actual goal surrounding all this is. Because honestly, when it all comes down to it, it's not really meant for number go up. It's meant for a benefit of supply and demand upon the monetary market of the world, and thus expands outward to the supply and the demand of other facets of scarce resource that can be used to be in the attainment of those resources through these new media of exchange. So we just need to get that. We need to get the number go up mentality out of everybody's head. It's very, very difficult. I'm not a very patient person. Really, I'm not. That's probably why I don't invest in in as much as I do, because I'm the type of guy that wants to say make it now. So if I otherwise, I'm so perfected and so enticed into the details of everything that if I put my time and my energy and was more patient, I'd probably be a very, very wealthy man in investments, only for the fact that I would take the time, but I'm not a patient person. So when it comes to details like this, my impatience comes out and says, we have an alternative. Why are we not utilizing it as a society? And so, yeah, why are we all wasting away in our own misery trying to gather a value standpoint towards a worthless piece of cotton linen dollar?
time preference is a bitch.
Yeah. And I know you're the same way. You're not a patient person. Otherwise, you'd be wealthy. We'd
I'm
both be
working
very
on it.
wealthy. Yeah.
I'm working on
So
it. I live in an impatient society.
I am. Yeah, I'm working on it as well. But at the same time, you got to put forth the effort. You just yeah, patience is a virtue. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't have to be crypto. It can be anything that you set your mind to. Anything. Time is the investment. That's the real investment, is your time. And then with that comes the other inputs within that investment. So whether that's money, whether that's effort, and energy, but time is the real. That's the real investment. And so you got to put the time in, and with that is the goal. You will eventually reach out to that goal. So, and on top of that, pray. Where am I supposed to
Absolutely.
be at, God? Where do you want? What should I do next in this life? What should be my goal? Where is it attainable? Can I reach this goal? And through that faith, you can achieve anything. So, I mean, as what's on my crucifix, my strength is in Christ. So, I mean, I'm only as strong as my faith. So that can be within anything. Christ, your family, Bitcoin Cash node.
Screw you,
So,
ABC.
so, but with that, we are out of time. That was very good. Go ahead and follow Rothbard. I don't know if he's doing anything anymore on his channel,
Well,
but
I have to check and see
subscribe.
if there's alternative platforms like Rumble, if he's got channels, content on there. I just know from YouTube. So
Yeah, so if he has any, yeah, check, look up Rothbard's Disciple, subscribe over there on YouTube, help him out, and then I would assume he's on other platforms. And I mean, there's Rumble, there's Odyssey, there's BitChute, there's all sorts of different platforms that I'm sure he's on. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't on BitChute, since that's a little bit more decentralized. But yeah, go ahead and look him up and subscribe and follow for his content. I'm sure he's still putting up content. And make sure you like and subscribe us, man, and join the conversation down below in the comments. Leave something for us and join this conversation. Say your piece. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Ask us a question. Ask us about Andrew's hair. Like when he
Ayn
becomes a
Rand was a
Bitcoin.
stupid young. What was it? What did Mises say? Ignorant
You are a
Jewish
silly
girl.
yeah, that's right. You silly little ignorant Jewish girl. And then he called everybody else socialists.
Yep, that's right. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mises.
Milton Fried. Actually, I implore you all to look up that Milton Friedman speech, that presentation, because he tells it straight to the T. Like that's where we heard this story. Like Milton Friedman, was Hayek still? Yeah, Milton Friedman, F.A. Hayek, everybody was around the table. They're having like a dinner conference, and then Mises is sitting there eating, and they're all talking about this and that, and how you can cooperate in a society that's centralized, and how you can kind of navigate with the government and its control on the monetary supply. And Mises he stops eating, puts his fork down,
He
stands
drops his
up.
fork.
Yeah, he drops his fork. He drops his fork, stands up. Everybody goes silent. He just looks around, says, and then out of his mouth, like you could, there's like not even a hint. It's so silent. Yeah, out of his mouth, he just says, "You're all a bunch of socialists." Turns around, walks out of the room.
Ignorant little Jewish girl.
Yeah, you're all a bunch of socialists and ignorant little Jewish girls. So Mises could say that, YouTube. He was a Jew. Okay, so don't get butthurt. All right, I'm also a Jew, so I'm allowed to say it as well. So with that, all my lovely Jewish brethren and all my Rothbardian disciples and my Mises supporters, that's Andrew Joseph. I'm the legacy of Jennifer Kaiser, and I guess live long and prosper, because that's all we want you to do. Peace.
Thanks for watching.